Armstrong with Henrico County Recreation and Parks Department. And there's some things that everyone should know how to do. And sewing a button is one of them. I tell my kids I've been offered $20 to sew a button back on. And this is something you should know how to do so you don't have to think that you're done with your clothes and you have to throw them away. A button is super simple. It's just in and out with your needle and thread. So I'm going to walk you through a simple process. And then there's also some websites out there that will offer you details on other types of buttons. Right now we're just doing a 4-hole button. So what you need is a button, a needle, thread, and whatever garment the button fell off of, along with some scissors to help you out. So you're going to cut a length of thread. Now what I do to sew a button on is I double my thread. Double the length, and I double the thickness of the thread so that I don't have to go around as many times. Now it took me many years of tying knots to learn this very simple way to tie a knot in the thread. So like I said, I'm going to double my thread. Oh, I got really long thread today. And I pull the ends together. I've got almost like an O. I'm making an O. So I'm bringing my end of the thread to the needle and I'm catching it with my fingers. I'm going to take this and I'm going to wind it around the needle 3 or 4 times and slide it down into the pinch of my fingers, and then I'm going to gently pull the thread through to the end, and it makes a knot. So much easier than the way I was trying. So to sew a button on, we've got our button and our fabric. You're going to come from the underneath side of the fabric. So you're going to pull your needle all the way through till it catches. Oops, I'm just going to hold it. Then you're going to put your button through your needle in one hole and drop it down onto that spot. You're going to choose your next hole, and we like to make X's. So we're just going to go in the hole across from the first one and pull it down through till it's snug. You don't want it super tight, and I'm going to show you what a toothpick or a skewer, a little piece of a matchstick works well for. What they recommend is you put it between the button and the fabric, and it lifts it up just a little bit. So you can pull it tight, but it'll still have space between the button and the fabric. That's so when you're actually buttoning your clothes, that other piece of fabric will rest neatly inside. So you can do it either way. I usually just pull it snug, but I don't pull it too tight. So I've gone up and I've gone down. And now from this side, I'm going to go back through where I went the first time. And sometimes you have to wiggle it a little bit to find that same hole that you came up through the first time. And you're going to go through again. And do that 3 times. I say 3 because my thread is doubled. So there's actually 6 threads going through. If you have a single thread, do it 6 times. Then you're going to go across, and sometimes you got to kind of poke a little bit to find that hole. Come up through the empty hole and back down through the opposite. Now the tricky part is sometimes you're coming up from the edge. You want to go around and down, but you're just catching the fabric. You don't want to do that. You want to remember to come up through the bottom and down through the top. And I'm going to do this one 3 times. Now this is kind of the tricky part of it, and this is an easy way. You're going to come up through the bottom, but you're not going to go all the way through the button. You're going to slide your fabric to the side and come up in between the two. Slide your thread, and you're going to wind around a few times. I'll say 3 or 4. That also lifts your button up a little bit so that fabric fits better. You're going to slide through between the fabric and the button again. This almost creates a knot. And you can go back up and down again if you want, depending on how tough you are on your buttoning. And then from the back side, you have several loops of thread. You're going to come through those loops. Not all of them, just catch a thread or two. But don't pull it all the way through. You're making a big loop here. So now I've got my needle and a big loop, and I'm just going to take my needle and go through that loop and tug it till it's down tight. And there's your knot. And from the back side, you're going to cut your thread. And there's your button, ready to be buttoned. So you have your other piece of fabric, just slide it on through, and you're good to go. Enjoy!